My behaviorist was Marian Brelin Bailey. She was born December 2nd, 1920, and passed away September 25th, 2001. Bailey was an American psychologist studying applied animal psychology. She studied under B.F. Skinner, in which she worked with him in the World War II with their pigeon experiment. Later on, with her husband, she also opened up animal behavior enterprises where she worked with over 125 different animal species using operant conditioning to train their behaviors. Some of the most important articles that Bailey put out was Misbehavior, a Case History, A View from Outside the Skinner Box, The Misbehavior of Organisms, and A Field of Animal Psychology. They also had many unpublished articles. Throughout their research, the Baileys had monetary issues in which it was hard to fund their research on operant conditioning and animal training. From their research, they used and modified operant conditioning to train animals. They concluded that instincts and type of species play a role within these animals' behaviors in their training. Animals have conditioned and unconditioned behaviors, which also plays a role within their instincts. The Baileys were able to modify the procedure by using secondary reinforcement, which included the use of clickers and whistles that animal trainers still use today to be able to condition these animals' behaviors. The Baileys also conducted research in open spaces in different environments besides a lab setting. They argued that most data had previously been taken in lab settings and that it wasn't generalized in different spaces. So the Baileys conducted their research in the open spaces as well as different environments and different types of trials and lengths of trials to be able to get a variety of data from these animals. If I were to interview Marian Brelin Bailey, I would ask her a series of questions. In no particular order, I would ask, how would you find out an animal instincts if you did not previously know to be able to condition them? How were your failures taken by the community and other psychologists? Did you have any setbacks other than failed experiments? How big of a role did money play during this time of research? Was your work with the, quote, mentally retarded similar to your work with animals in sense of their behaviors? Do you think if you had Skinner's full support, you would have gained more within your research? What was your favorite animal to train and why? What were some of the skills you would teach the animals? Why do you believe your research is important to the applied behavioral analysis field? What was it like working in the war with Skinner? Being a woman in this field, do you believe that impacted your ability to work within this field? While there are many things that the Baileys identified within their research that is very important, I have found these few to be the most important in my perspective. First, modifying the operant conditioning method. The Baileys were able to modify it based on the species and their instincts and the types of behaviors they exhibited. And they also were able to use secondary reinforcers to influence these animals' behaviors. Another important thing that they found was the instinctive drift. This was when they found that instincts play a role in the behavior. They would find that they would condition these animals' behaviors, and at some point down the line, they would find that the animals went back to their instincts and basically drifted back to those instincts instead of doing the behavior that was taught. Another important topic that I thought was important was research done in other environments besides a lab setting. I think it's really important to generalize skills to different settings for anyone who is trying to learn something new. Also, I felt that the Baileys were important in the animal training world. I feel like they were a turning point. Something that I thought was super cool that they did was they trained the first director of SeaWorld with to be able to train his animals at his animal training center. So I thought that was really cool. And while the Baileys did a lot more, they weren't super well known. They were mostly well known for their training and their animal shows, and that's where they were popular. So some of their research isn't shown to contribute to the behavioral analysis field. Overall, Marian Brelin Bailey was an important woman figure in the science world.